shit.
With our hosts, DJ Duss and Bamboo Bam. Let's go.
Yo, what's up, Bam?
Yeah, what's good, brother?
A lot of snow
today.
You know what? Overall, good day. Got a lot of sleep on Sunday. Good and relaxed. Woke up to a shitload of snow, wetness, and grossness. Yeah, just enough to piss me off on a Monday. I'll tell you that right now, bro.
Oh, it's understandable.
How's the weather over there?
Just cold down here, just a little bit of cold. That's it. That's all. But I'm working inside, so I don't mind.
Eat a dick, bro. Sorry. I work sometimes in the truck. Get out of the truck. The guy sent me a box, dude. I'm not lying to you. It was probably 2 feet wide, 3 feet high, and he kept saying to me the box is heavy. We all have a different opinion on what heavy is, right? Like, like, okay, cool. Dude, I tried to grab it with my hand. I had to dolly it, and I brought it into the airport place where they grab all the stuff.
Right.
And I had to tell the guy, where do you want this? And he's like, why? And I'm like, I'm not picking this shit back up. Like, it was tilted already. You know what I mean? This is it. You know what I mean? This is it. Where do you want this? Jay, man, what's up, man? Thanks for seeing me again, man. Thank you, brother. Yeah, no, it was definitely one of those situations where I was like, yeah, it was technically one of the heaviest boxes. Actually, I had to put it on a scale, and it was like 100 kilos. So, yeah, it was enough. It was big enough, man. So,
well, at least you got a fair warning.
Yeah, no offense. If I was doing the job, I would have did it a little bit different. It would have been on a skid, and let's not get into that.
Gotcha,
All right, let's do this. Everybody, man, like our Facebook page. That's at Shooting the Shit. You can stream all our live videos. Be a part of the show. Comment, questions, etc. Let's do this. Same thing on YouTube. Streaming all our live shows, all our episodes, all our former episodes. It's all on here, man. That's at Shooting the Shit podcast. Same thing with Twitch. Stream it live. Twitch is the bomb, supposedly. But like I said, I got to get off the show to check it out myself. That's at STS_podcast1. Once the episode is aired, it gets uploaded. And it's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, all that good stuff. That's at Shooting the Shit Podcast 1. God damn it. Anyways, we also have shirts, right? $20.
Yes.
Bam, I was talking to DJ One Up. That's our technician guy. DJ One Up is the guy that's built this out multiple times. Sometimes the show would have been off the air if it wasn't for him himself.
Yes.
Or you could order them through us. Message us, $20. That includes tax and shipping. No problem. But if not, we're actually going to very, very soon. That's the good news. Forgot to tell you that, Bam. Forgot to tell you that.
Okay.
Try not to talk to you anymore.
Let's get it started here, man.
Let's do it.
We got a guest, great dude. I'm so happy he's with the Force, and he's been in the Force for years, and I'm talking he's a nice, polite, perfect person. I'm happy he's there. You know what I mean? One of those guys that I want to be there on the Force. So, with no further ado, let's bring Alex Lewis in.
Alex, how's it going, buddy?
Yo, boys.
How you doing, buddy?
How's it going, man?
Good, man. Bamboo Bam.
Yeah, what's happening, bro? I'm happy you came on, man. Me and my boy Joe was talking.
Buddy.
Me and my boy talking. I was like, yeah, my guy, he's with the Force and stuff. He's like, really? I was like, yeah, we need to get him on because
that's facts.
It's been a long year last year. So, I figured this is a good time to get you on, right? So, let's get it started. Let's get this interview started.
But Alex, before we sorry.
Go ahead, Joe.
Okay, sir. Yeah, so Alex, because I know Bam knows you, and I just met you through here. We're gonna get to know you a little bit better and get into some of the cops and police stuff and all that stuff. Where were you born and raised, brother?
I was actually born in Almont, Ontario, and I was raised for the first part of my life in Carleton Place, and then I live in Ottawa.
Nice. So, do you find that Carleton Place has been it's huge now?
Like, it's growing, man. It's
dude,
pretty insane.
I was doing an event right outside Carleton Place. I'm driving my truck, and my dad's like, his eyes almost bulged out of his head. He's like, "There's a Walmart." He's blowing up, mind blown. Carleton Place is turning into a big.
We used to joke that when you drove into town, the Carleton Place sign had the population on it, and every single time someone would die or be born, some guy would go out there and erase it.
It's definitely different. It's definitely growing for sure, man.
Wow, I ain't been to the city in years, so I have to believe y'all guys that it's been growing.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's crazy.
Ain't been to the city.
I ain't been to Ottawa in what? How many years now, Joe?
Yeah, but last time you came, it was like
I was in and out.
In and out, yeah.
In and out. I get in, I drink a couple of pitchers. Next, we on a fucking flight. We're gone. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Dominican Republic, we out.
So the funny thing is that when Bam comes to Ottawa, I don't see him. But when I'm in Dominican Republic and I happen to be there the same time that he is, I get messages. Hey, walk down the beach. We're here.
So this was your boy that was there.
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
Okay. Yes,
I'm like,
he's telling me.
he here somewhere. I don't know where he at, you know?
Walk down the
So-
beach.
Yeah, walk down the beach. Fuck it. We'll
Walk
find
down the
him.
beach. I'm like, I'm drunk.
I ain't walking nowhere.
I'm not walking anywhere. I can barely walk to the pool.
Fuck.
That is
Yeah.
the beach.
He was having a good time then. Shit.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh man, we was how many deep we was?
The last time we were there?
Yeah, that was the last time we was there, January. We
Okay.
all was there in
Yeah, it was.
January.
Right before COVID.
Yeah.
Yes. 14? 14?
It was 14 of us on
Yeah,
the
that's
board.
right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
No, that's crazy. Alex, you know,
Go for it, mate.
who and what influenced you to be an officer?
So I got two uncles, actually, both on my mom's side. So my grandfather was actually district fire chief for Ottawa, and both his sons kind of broke the grain, and they both became police. They both became police officers. So the family feud continues. So one of them was a sergeant with Ottawa Police. The other one was a staff sergeant with Peterborough Police, and both of them had a really, really big impact on me when I was younger, particularly my uncle in Ottawa. You know, I used to joke and call him my guardian angel when I was younger. Actually, I can't show you because I'm wearing a hoodie, and I don't know. I know this is just shooting the shit, but I don't think we're gonna get X-rated in here, so I'm not taking my shirt off. But I actually got a tattoo of my uncle with his badge number underneath. There was a picture of him directing traffic in 1970s.
Nice.
And so it took me years to find the right tattoo artist to do it, and it's got his badge number on it. And then underneath it, it says, "It's a strong like bull." He used to have this line when I was a kid. He'd say, "Strong like bull, smart like streetcar."
That's dope.
So, I always wanted to be a cop since the time I was 4. I used to go on the weekends. I used to go to 474 Elgin, which is the Ottawa Police Station. My uncle was a sergeant there at the time, and he used to come in, drop breakfast off for his boys, and
Nice.
he's just like a cop's cop, you know, like
Right.
just different world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, big influence on my life. Like I said, I'm confident that if he hadn't have been in my life, I might have been on the. We might have been having a different podcast here. It'd be, how was it in jail?
Okay. That's
Probably
good.
not that time
We already have that episode. Don't worry about it.
It's nice to have a positive role
big
model in your life.
influences,
That's good, man. So you know that at a young age, put your head down and went at it, right?
Right.
So no distractions was always what you wanted.
No, there was distractions.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, because it's legal now. I smoked a lot of pot in high school.
Yeah.
No. So growing up, man, like he was kind of there. He kind of kept me on the straight and narrow, kept me out of trouble, and yeah, man, just a big influence. He's still around, and
That's awesome.
yeah, he checks in with me. We probably talk to each other once a week, and he's just a solid guy.
That's dope,
good.
man.
That's good. Family and a great role model for you. That's perfect, man.
Yeah.
We appreciate that.
So Alex, I heard you have a nickname. Give me your nickname and the story behind that.
I got 2 nicknames.
Let's do it.
So one of them is I'm 6. Bamboo will tell you I'm not a small guy.
That's what he told me. Yeah.
It looks like it because I'm sitting down, but I'm not like.
Nope.
No, you don't want me to stand up.
Not at all.
So anyway, I'm 6'6" and 200 pounds. And so my nickname for a long time through high school, and then it took a little break. And then when I actually went to police college, which is like our provincial academy type thing, somebody resurrected the name again. So my nickname was the Big Lou, like the Big Lebowski, for those of you that are listening.
Yeah.
Because I smoked a lot of pot in high school, man. So I'd say things like "dude" a lot.
Yeah.
So you see the movie, you know the history behind it, and then of course just the fact that my last name is Lewis and I'm a big guy. And then my second name, I just got a little while ago. There's a bit of a backstory behind it, but some local kids did a video about me actually as a police officer, and they you can look it up on YouTube. It's called Alex Super Cop. And so it's funny because when I first started doing the job, like the community members would call you Super Cop because you were like, you're green, right?
Yes.
Oh, you're Super Cop, right? And now it's funny because now people call me it, but it doesn't have that like undertone meaning anymore. Now it's like, oh, this guy actually gets some shit done,
Gotcha. Super Cop. We definitely gonna look that video up for sure.
Go for it.
So tell me, how was the training at the academy becoming a cop? How was it?
So in Ontario, we have something called the Ontario Police College, which is we're governed. Every police service essentially in the province of Ontario is governed by it's governed by the Police Services Act of Ontario, the actual legislation. And included in that legislation is rules that you have to follow, and one of them being that every single provincial police officer, regardless on what municipality, regardless what police service you work for, you have to attend and pass the Ontario Police College. Okay. So the good news is that this province, which is massive, we're all essentially trained in the back end. We're all trained the exact same way. Right. So you go there for 13 weeks. And then a lot of police services will have pre and post OPC is what they call it. And that background will be like, you'll start the course, your pre-OPC might be going through just the general stuff, maybe some internal policies for your specific service, getting all your paperwork signed, getting all your uniform and your kit issued to you. And then you're at the Ontario Police College, and then it's game on, man. All you got to do is keep your nose in the books, study your butt off, and, you got midterm exams, and there's open book and closed book, and there's you actually have to get over I think it's a 70 or 75% in order to be able to pass.
Right. That's good.
So again, I don't know a lot of guys that have failed out. I know people that have failed midterms. I know guys that have failed even their finals, but they're given an opportunity to go back, study it again, and do it again. I know that they exist. I know there are people who have failed. It's impossible for it not to happen. But yeah, it's pretty stringent, man. And then when you're done there, you go back to your respective police service with all your training and everything else. And then ideally, most police services, that's actually where you get sworn in at that point, right? So that's where you're actually taking your oath and doing everything else. So
that's cool.
That's good to know.
So I got a curious question here. What is the best things and the worst things about being a police officer?
I'd say we'll start with the worst thing. The worst thing is when you get asked to do this podcast in the middle of the night.
I know.
Your work.
I know. It's true. On a Monday.
That's the worst thing. No. No. So I'll say the best part of the job, and this is so damn cliche, but honestly, the best part of the job is just helping people, man. And I know that sounds really, like I said, it sounds really cliche. Like, why do you want to be a cop? Well, because I want to help people. Yeah, so does everybody else. Right. But I think more as the more you're involved in it, and the more, the longer you are as a police officer, you realize that helping people is like many different things. It's not just, you're helping them through, in many cases, like the most difficult times in their lives. Right. Mm-hmm. I joke all the time. Nobody calls the cops because their kid got an A+ on a test. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're calling the cops, it's because something's happening and you need some help, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's good. It's kind of like being a teacher. You got like a mandatory captive audience all the time, right? Like people that automatically are going to call you, and you know what you're going to do when you get there, right? Mm-hmm. So again, and so on a personal note, like having people who are willing to open up their doors and their lives to you for even that brief moment in time to be able to say, listen, as an example, like a domestic dispute between a couple, that couple could be married. That couple could have been married for as long as I've been alive, and they want me to come in and solve their problem. You want me to solve your, let's just say your 34-year-old marriage problems in 34 seconds.
34.
Your
It's true.
34-year-old marriage stuff, and you want me to solve that in 34 seconds. Well, it doesn't work that way.
It's true. It's true.
So that's again, I guess I could say that's probably that's positive and a negative, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think as a cop, inherently, I don't care what police service you work for. I don't care where you're posted or what you do. I think inherently, you end up taking on a lot of people's burdens, right? And whether that be mentally, right, dealing with, we'll go to the far extreme, and dealing with death, dealing with kids who've experienced some of the most traumatic things that anybody will ever experience in their lives,
right.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to remain as that middle of the road guy who's just here to help you if you can. It's a difficult job, man.
I believe it. Yeah.
So the negative parts is definitely the mental health that comes along with it. If you don't take care of yourself properly, that'll come back and creep up on you, and it happens a lot. It happens a lot. Like, I'm just gonna say this, guys. We've had 2 suicides in the last 24 hours of police officers in Canada.
Wow.
Okay. Number 1, Winnipeg Police. Number 2, RCMP. Okay, those are just in the last 24 hours. It's becoming more and more and more prevalent. And
like I say to Joe,
Yeah.
I say, to be a police officer, you got to be a special type of person. I mean, you deal with a lot. You know what I mean? You got to take. Sometimes it's hard to not take that stuff home with you. The stuff you see, and it does take a burden on you, especially after years and years and years, right? So
it's not a light switch. Everyone thinks it's like, oh, when you go home, you just turn that off, and it's like, there's things. It's small little triggers that'll happen throughout the day. I don't know. You just become hyper vigilant to a lot of things. You know what I mean? Like, not to get too in depth, but like. We're taught as an example, everyone like, look at me when you're talking to me, right? Like that's a big thing that everybody, like humanity in general, right? Look at me when you're talking with a sign of respect. Cops, a lot of the time, you'll notice, like, I'll be having conversations and I'm like, I'm looking around all the time, right?
And always, and remember, you used to come see me while I'm working, and we'd be having this conversation.
Sure.
But I'm scanning the room. I'm doing what I got to do.
That's the way it works, man.
Yeah,
the way it works.
You have to pay attention.
We have a saying. We got a saying in policing, which is like, you'll notice me looking at people's hands a lot, right? It's like, well, people's faces don't kill you, but their hands do.
Yeah.
True.
So just when you start dealing with a lot of that hypervigilance, just because it's just the nature of the job, like, I don't stand in front of a door when I'm knocking on it, just force a habit, right? I don't pull into people's driveways because I need to be able to get out. Like, just small stuff like that. That's got to affect your day to day, especially when you do the job as often as you do, right?
Yeah.
Right. It's understandable. That's understandable.
Hold on. I've got a question from Alex.
Oh, okay.
He said, once you pass college, do they offer you any type of physical training, or is that on you?
So I'll do 2 parts to that question. Number 1 is when you go through police college, and number 1, to get into police college, you have to pass provincial guidelines for physical fitness standards. And again, don't quote me on this because they've changed even since I was in. Okay. But I know, like, there's the shuttle run, which is a beep test, basically. There's, you got to pass the flap, get your push-ups, your forward extensions, your core training, all that kind of stuff. You have to have, when I went through, you had to have a certificate saying that you did all that in advance of applying. You couldn't even apply to a police service without having that.
Okay.
And then and there was also an aptitude test and stuff. It was called the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police Certificate of Results. It's what you needed back then. Mm-hmm. So there's still something similar to it, but I think it might have changed a little bit. So anyway, you take all that. That gives you the ability to just apply for a police service. You're not even hired.
Yeah.
And then you have to keep that up every 6 months. So then you go through. Let's say you get hired. Your individual police service is going to put you through the ringer as well. They're going to want to know that, yes, you passed that test 6 months ago, but can you do it today?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then when you're at police college, you're going to be tested 2-3 times while you're there. Once at the beginning to get kind of a baseline on how you do, and then you have to pass those tests again in order to be able to graduate the Ontario Police College. Now, once those are all done and you're posted or you're given a community or you're doing whatever, physical fitness standards are all on you, man. Wow. And it's a bit rough, but then again, there's something in Ontario called the Fit Pin, Ontario Fit Pin, which is a police fitness award. Basically, it's an annual award. So it gives you the opportunity on an annual basis to actually make sure that you're still meeting the standards. There's no obligation for you to do it. Some police services offer incentives if you do it. So they might give you a day off if you've managed to actually pass it. It's just small incentive stuff, right? So to answer the question, it's really on you. But I'll put a question back to your listeners as well, right? Which is, I'll put the question back to them, which is, do you want a police officer who doesn't take care of themselves, right?
Oh, we all
do I want to work with somebody who doesn't take care of themselves?
That's right. I agree.
Right. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Definitely. That's nice. That's a good question, man, because, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that was a great question. This next question, this is generalized for all services, police. So, do you find, the police are getting a bad rap for their improper conduct? Do you find the whole, every country, police service, do you find everybody getting a bad rap for their conduct? Not saying one is representing the other, but, just in general, you know what I mean? Everybody,
I'll say this. I think it's an interesting topic, and I'll say that it's really interesting because I'm not trying to beat around the bush. I'm trying to come up with a very straightforward answer for you.
No, we shooting the shit, and speak your mind, man.
Yeah. So when it comes to conduct, I'll say this: cops are an easy target. They're really, honestly, they are. It doesn't sound like they are because they walk around, they carry a gun on their hip, but honestly, they are an easy target. Again, how often do we? And again, I'm not putting this on firefighters. I'm just saying, how often do houses burn down, right? Well, houses don't burn down a whole hell of a lot in modern day times, but when they do, you damn well want that firefighter there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's no different, right? It's like, what? Your life isn't, your life is going to go great potentially forever until it doesn't. And then you don't want a police officer there.
100%.
So when you say cops get do cops get a bad rap? I think that the actions of few, I hate using the word bad apples because I've heard so many organizations say, it's not a few bad apples, the entire tree's rotten. That's bullshit. Oh, it's complete and utter bullshit.
I agree.
Right? Like, there's people who get into it. Yeah, I get it. It's like any job. There's people get into it for the wrong reasons, right? Yeah. Damn, you and I were bouncers. You and I were bouncers together. Damn well there's people who worked in the bars and stuff who just got into it just because they wanted to tune people up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's no different. Like, the problem with absolute authority is it corrupts absolutely, right? So you give people enough power, right? And bad stuff's going to happen. So again, I look at it like this too. You're never going to hear me standing up for a bad cop. And you probably won't hear a lot of good cops standing up for bad cops. If the guy's an asshole, as an example, you can't take a flower and stick it in an asshole and call it a vase. It doesn't work that way. So sometimes there's just bad people and they get involved for the wrong reasons. And what? You get to read about it. The problem with policing in general is, if you work at Walmart and you steal something, as an example, you're probably not going to hear, as an employee, you're probably not going to hear about that in the newspaper. If a cop screws up, it's front and center page, whether right or wrong, it's front and center on page.
Right.
And then if there's a correction, if there's something that wasn't right, you'll get the correction on page 9. Right?
Yeah, that's true. That is true. They definitely do shit like that. You
know what? Again, I'll say this. Yeah, you know what? We get a bad rap. We get a bad rap sometimes justifiably. Some people sometimes people. You know what? We're all humans too, man. At the end of the day, that's ultimately what it comes down to. Mistakes will be made. Unfortunately, particularly in the States. Sorry, Bam. I know you got your flag up, buddy.
That's right.
I'm just gonna crap. Crap all over it now. Just let me crap all over it.
Do it.
Actually, before you answer that, me and the wife watched a show on Netflix last night with Will Smith and a bunch of actors. It's called Men, and they're talking about the Constitution and the amendments in the Constitution, and I learned a whole lot. So after, if y'all got the time, check it out, and we'll get back on that. That's gonna be a whole nother show because, like,
No problem.
I'm telling you, I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me, like, really, this and that and that and this. But answer the question. Sorry, just a side note.
Particularly in the States, it's not a secret, Bam. You know this.
We know this.
Cops like this. I don't know why, man. There seems to be a lot of black people who end up getting shot by cops. There you go. So you know what? It's not a secret. We're not. I don't stray away. I don't stray away from it. I have I got friends of mine. That are, like, no bullshit. I got friends of mine that are actively involved in Black Lives Matter, in the actual movement itself. Good. But the difference is that we can sit down and actually have a decent conversation and recognize where both people are coming from, right? Mm-hmm. And I understand. We're gonna, this is gonna lead us into a whole other conversation here. But when you start talking about like defunding the police,
right? This is why I brought you on. You understand what I'm saying? Because I'm like one of those friends that we can have this conversation.
That's right.
I can see where you're coming from. You can see where I'm coming from. And the bottom line is, I got nothing but respect for you. You got nothing but respect for me. And this is why I say people like you should be on the force. You understand what I'm saying? You
said that since day one.
You belong where you belong. And I'm grateful for it. You get what I'm saying?
So it's just different. I'll say this. It's just different policing strategies in Canada versus the United States. So in Canada, our viewpoint is a lot more based around kind of the Commonwealth vision of how policing should happen. When we talk about community policing, we talk about visual representation, right? Mm-hmm. Even, it's funny, man, because you keep saying force, right? Mm-hmm. We don't use the word force in Canada. We use the word service.
Okay,
right?
That's right. Wow, that's right.
So right then and there, that small, very small, seemingly insignificant portion of psychology that goes behind it is that we are here to provide you a service, as opposed to here we are to enforce the law. Right?
You hear this, people? This is the difference between the two countries. Okay, the mentality. I love it. Keep going. Sorry.
No, for sure, man. We could go on for days about the differences between them. I mean, if you talk to most Canadians, there was a study that was done of Canadians, and overwhelmingly, we're talking like, so they're given 5 different selections, not satisfied, or extremely not satisfied, neutral, et cetera, all the way up to very satisfied. 67% of Canadians voted, that were polled. 67% of those people indicated that they were in favor of the way in which police operate today. And again, I'm going to say this. Policing has a long history, man. And so when you hear things like defunding the police, right, removing funds from policing to redistribute, to put into social housing or social programming or whatever, there is, we won't take it away from it, there is merit behind the idea that those programs need more funding. Mm-hmm. What there is not merit in my mind behind is that you're going to reallocate funds that are potentially going to further victimize people by not having the
service,
the units. Yeah. Right? They won't have the budget to have units, the specialized units that actually deal with things like, maybe child sexual assault or internet crimes or domestic partner assaults, right? Those are specialized units in a lot of police services, right? So you're going to withdraw that funding and you're going to put it into somewhere else. But that problem, domestic violence, isn't going to go away, right? It's not. Anyway, all that is to say, I'm in favor of not defunding the police. I'm not in favor necessarily of fully reallocating funds. I think there is definitely 100% room for improvement. But I'll ask, again, all the listeners, the exact same question, man. You know what? Ask your politicians. Ask your politicians why defund the police is such a priority for them. Well, we're going to reallocate funds. How about you guys reallocate funds from other wasteful areas, right? Instead of taking it from an essential service, right?
Right.
Yeah. You want to know why you don't have socialized housing? Well, you know what? Taking the money from the police budget, you know what? It's going to give you some houses. But why weren't they dealing with that 20 years ago or 5 years ago or last month?
True.
Right?
Yeah. That's
it's a scapegoat, I think. And again, I'm just speaking freely here. I look at it as a scapegoat for a lot of politicians. It's a scapegoat. It's the red herring, right? You pay attention over here. Look. The cops are screwing up for that. And then all of a sudden, we're going to screw you over here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Defunding is not I think it's probably the worst thing we can do in general.
That's what I said.
Yeah, you've been saying that since day one, yeah.
You know, like I said, they need to be there,
I think it's really interesting, too, the language in particular that's used. We talked about language, obviously, just in the word service versus the word force. Yeah. When we talk about language and the importance of language, you look at something like the word defund. Nowhere in the dictionary does the word defund mean reallocate. It means a complete withdrawal of funds, period. So if you look at what the back movement was behind defunding the police, started by Black Lives Matter, right? And if you go to the Toronto Police or Toronto Black Lives Matter website, it's clearly listed on there. Their ultimate goal is the abolishment of police. It's not a defunding or a reallocation. It is a complete abolishment. So what does that tell you about what the greater language that goes along with it is?
I hear you. I hear you. You know, and like you said, the wording. They want to defund. They want to get rid of you. What are they trying to do? Create the Wild West again. You know what I mean? So
who's going to solve these problems? That's what I want to know.
Nobody's going to be around to solve these problems. And that's why I said, and
throw them in the mix.
No, and that's why I always agreed with defunding the police. No, why? They need to be here. You get what I'm saying? Now, maybe on the other hand, the language, as I was talking to you, I said maybe the language needed to be there to get people's attention. You know what I mean? Because if you don't make noise, nobody will acknowledge something's wrong. You get what I'm saying? They will just let it keep going by. So if let's just police is doing this, police is doing that, and someone's sitting there saying, hey, the police is doing this, police is doing that, and nobody's paying attention until someone screams, you know what? Let's just get rid of them motherfuckers. Excuse my language.
Yeah.
Now people are like, what? Now we got your attention. You know what I mean? You see what I'm saying? So maybe that was the reason behind the defund the police. But to be honest with you, I agree with you. They shouldn't defund the police, and it's not right. You know what I mean? I don't think it's right.
Hey, Bam, you didn't get your Black Lives Matter membership card. They didn't detail all this in the package that you got.
I got my Black Lives Matter card when I was born, brother. You know what I mean? So, and to be honest with you, I'm probably older than most of the Black Lives Matter members anyways. You get what I'm saying? So if they truly understand what Black Lives Matter is about, you know what I mean? They'll be talking to you like I am. You understand what I'm saying? Because I've been around the world. I've been around the world, and I grew up with, like you said, the States. I grew up with the police force. You understand? I've been to Canada with the police service. You know what I mean? I've been to the Dominican with a different type. I've been to Cuba. I've been with a communist type of policing. And to be honest with you, everywhere else where I went, I felt safe. You understand? I felt safe in Canada. Put it this way. I'm going to say this to you. I've never apologized to a cop before until I came to Canada. Okay? Pulled me over and I was like, I'm sorry, my bad. I fucking rolled through the fucking stop sign.
How Canadian are you? You're Canadian.
And I'm gonna tell you, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because when the man pulled me over, the first thing he said to me was, "Hello, sir, how you doing?" That right there alone threw me fucking sideways. What? Huh? Who? Hey, how you doing, brother? My bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck it. I know I did something wrong. It's not like I didn't know I did something wrong, but the fact that he talked to me like a person instead of license registration, and the approach when you talk to somebody can change the whole dynamic of a situation. You get what I'm saying?
Sure.
And so, like you said, there's a difference between down there and up here and around the world, So, and that's why I said, I was like, fuck, I apologize to the cop. And I did something wrong, so I got to take my licks. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. I got my ticket. I paid it.
I'll tell you this. One of the biggest differences in Canadian versus U.S. policing is just the sheer number. And again, populations aside, just the sheer number of police departments or services that exist in Canada versus the United States. So in Canada, we have less than 235 police departments or services.
Wow.
Nationwide. Okay. The United States has over 18,000. So huge difference in how it's done. And then you look at even how the application of federal law, which is generally our governing body. So in Canada, we have the Criminal Code of Canada, which outlines all the federal laws, basically, that are in place, that have been passed through the House and upheld in courts and all the rest of it.
Right.
In the United States, they have the exact same thing, except they have the superseding big federal level, and then the next step down, their individual states will have their own. Not unlike we have provincial laws, but not to the point where it's going to be a felony, right? You know what I mean? Or like that U.S. style, right?
That's right.
You broke that law, that's a felony, right? So again, just the administration of law. And that brings us into a whole other topic of conversation too, right?
It does, because the laws down there, the state laws and the federal laws, they contradict each other. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
When you get jammed up, you get jammed up. You know what I mean? That's why everybody's like, I want to take it to the highest court in the land, but you got to get to there. You know what I mean? So you got to get through your state to be able to get to that point, right? So, I understand where you're coming from,
There's a lot more to it. Even we look at how oversight is conducted with police services in Canada. So generally speaking, I'll use Ontario as an example. If you had a complaint, you have pretty much 3 avenues or 2 avenues that are available to you. One, if it's really serious. 2 of those avenues, you can go directly to the police and they deal with it with kind of an internal affairs style section, PSS or PSB, depending on what section it's called. Each service will have their own independent, or not independent, but officers and command staff that dealing with those complaints. If you're not satisfied with the way that complaint was handled, we have something in Ontario called the OIRPD, which you can go directly to as well and put in. That is a civilian body that deals with complaints, a civilian watchdog, basically, for the province. And then any serious misconduct, any injuries involving police, where police were even called. We dealt with a situation when police officers started carrying Narcan. Any deaths involving police. So you try to conduct a traffic stop, someone runs a red light and ends up smoking and killing somebody. And the SIU ends up coming in and their mandate applies. Again, complete civilian body that comes in and investigates the conduct of those respective police services or those officers that are involved, and then lays the charges through the Crown's office, lays those charges against those officers. So the levels of oversight, and again, for the record, I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm saying definitely 100% always room for improvement.
Right.
I'm just saying in comparison, in drastic comparison to the United States, a lot of those issues are dealt with really locally at your own department. There's no guarantee they're going to be dealt with.
No.
Right. So where's the accountability for the public, right?
Right.
And that is the biggest part of what I'm a huge advocate for accountability, right? Ultimately, at the end of the day, I kind of laugh. I've had 2 complaints ever lodged against me. And I laughed when I got both of them, because I thought to myself, I didn't do anything. So you know what? I don't have nothing to worry about. Right? Go ahead, make a complaint. I'm really interested to see how you're going to word this one. Right?
That's awesome.
So, like I said, stark comparisons between the 2. And then when we go back to what I had talked to originally before about us kind of having a more Commonwealth style of policing. The history of policing, modern day, we'll call it history of policing, is I believe it was 1828. Sir Robert Peel in England put forward a bill that introduced the first metropolitan police, which they still have today.
Okay.
And it's really funny, actually. I was going to pull them up and I didn't. But there's something called the Peelian Principles, and it's funny that we want to get so far away from from what we think policing is. But if we just went back to what it actually was, we would be dealing with a lot of those issues. At least 2 of the Peelian Principles have to directly do with the use of force, and how basically it states if any administration of force on the part of the police will diminish the public's trust. It's specifically stated in there.
Right.
And we're talking 1828. Now, fast forward, okay, or not fast forward, 1828. So that's what our system is based off of. That's what the UK system is based off of. That's what Australia's system is based off of.
Right.
And then fast forward, the United States system was literally employed to catch slaves.
Yes.
That's what they're playing.
Thank you. That was the whole reason. With if you ever listen to KRS-One and that whoop whoop, call the police. You ever listen to that song?
Yeah.
Listen to him. Overseer, officer. That's exactly what it was. The overseer became the officer. You get what I'm saying?
Sure.
Around the globe. So then they started hiring them to do other things. Hey, do this, do that. Watch over this, watch over that. And I'm glad you're very well educated and knew that. Thank you, my man. Thank you. I'm gonna thank you for that.
All right.
Thank you,
Alex.
Appreciate that.
So I have a question about rankings, the police ranking.
Yeah, buddy.
What are the different ranks, and how do you move up?
So it depends. Again, it depends in Canada. It depends what police service you're with. Different police services will have different ranks. The RCMP, obviously being a big federal police service, they have. Again, they're Canada wide, so they probably have more rank, or they know they have more rank structure.
Yeah.
If you get into some of the smaller municipal police services that might, police 15,000 people, the likelihood is you're going to have your frontline constables. In the province, there's designated, we'll call it 3 classes, but actually 4 classes of a frontline constable.
Okay.
So number 1 is your 4th class. So you're basically a recruit. You're brand new. And then it's depending on which police service you're with. Again, that time frame that you end up switching from class to class, it's just time. There's no exams you gotta write. It's just, and then that brings you to first class constable. Okay. From first class constable, again, if you're dealing with smaller municipal police services, you might only have your 4 levels of constables. You might have your sergeant, or you're going to have your sergeants. You might have a staff sergeant or 2, maybe. You're going to go into inspector, potentially. Some don't even have that. And then you're going to go into, your deputy chief and your chief of police. It's literally like, depending on how big your service is. The OPP, as an example, provincial police in Ontario, their rank structure is a lot bigger than that, right? They'll have superintendents that are responsible for different sections. That oversee. They'll have deputy commissioners that deal with different sections, and they're going to have more of those people doing more of those jobs. So generally speaking, I guess if you were to look at it, you'd have constables, you'd have your sergeants, you'd have your staff sergeants, you'd have your inspectors, you'd have your superintendents, you'd have your deputy chief and your chief or commissioner or whatever it is. Those are generally your rank structure.
Okay.
How do you move up?
Yeah.
So like I said, your first 4 through constable. It depends what service you're with. Some service is 12 months from the time, and then you just progress until you hit first class. Some services are 14 months. I've heard some of them are 2 years. It depends. It depends on who you get on with, and that affects your rate of pay. That affects a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
Your ability to move into specialized units, all that kind of stuff. Well, once you get to first class constable, pretty much anything above that, I'd say sergeant there's a provincial sergeant's exam. Again, we kind of try and maintain the same thing across the province. I know there are some services that have their own, and there's the Ontario Police College does their academy does their own testing as well. So same thing to staff sergeant, testing involved in that, interviews, all the rest of it. Your conduct's taken into consideration, your ability to apply policies, policy-specific items. I could go on for days, man. The stuff that's included in there is pretty lengthy.
Okay. Well,
there's a question. There's a question here from Alex. Is there a special unit that deals with homicides in Ontario?
Not a specific unit. There would be for each individual police service, so we're getting into the little politics here. So if you're a small municipal police service, let's say you got 25 police officers, okay? Which do exist in the province. There's only a handful of them left. They relied very heavily on the Ontario Provincial Police to come in and augment what they do. So, for instance, if they have a major homicide that requires ident services to come in, or anything that has to do with homicides, we'd call in the provincial police, or they might call in the provincial police in order to investigate those crimes. You can have detectives from your individual services, but a lot of the problem is how expensive it is, right? So that's why there's generally, in the province, we generally contract a lot, or the OPP has an obligation in order to provide those services to smaller municipal police services.
Gotcha.
So, no, there is not one overarching specific unit for homicides in the province. Like I said, individual services will have their own units, and they're going to be called different things, right? They're all going to have different names. They might not be called a homicide unit. They might be called major crimes or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice. Is it true that, highway and city cops don't get along?
I'll say this. I think that's a very big U.S. question. So funny you're asking. I know in the U.S., man, just by the meme pages that I follow, right, of the cop memes in the U.S., it's a huge thing in the U.S., man. They're like, all they do is joke all the time about these cops walking around wearing their Stetson hats, and right. You were going 51 and a 50, sir.
Super trooper.
Super trooper.
Yeah.
So I'll say in the province, I'll say it doesn't matter what police service or you're working with. There's going to be some rivalry between. And again, the OPP is the big body, man. They're the big man on campus. They're the king of the hill in a lot of cases. You know what I mean? Like, they police the most communities. They have the most funding in a lot of cases. And so, yeah, there's a little rivalry all the time going on between us or everybody else and them.
Oh, that's good. It's nice to see the competitiveness.
Yeah. So
nice.
Chris is asking. So she already missed some of this already. But what are some of the benefits of joining the police versus the military, other than being deployed?
Very nice question.
Very good question.
So it's really funny, actually, because I'm also in the military part-time. So there is, I'll say this. Policing is completely different, right? The military should be a calling in and of itself. It is how you are trained, the dedication, the strain on family is all completely different than what you deal with potentially as a police officer. Again, I don't think one is better than the other by any stretch of the imagination. As a matter of fact, I'd say a good chunk of cops, in Ontario, either are serving, or have served at some point or another. There's a lot of valuable training that comes from both of them, right? So, no, I don't think there's one benefit over the other that's more important or anything else that you're going to get. And don't forget as well, the military actually have their own police as well.
That's right.
They get the military police, and they're trained in the application of military law. And so I'm not going to say their understanding, but their application of general day-to-day provincial legislation would probably be slim to nil, right, in many cases. Right. And what they basically deal with is investigations on Canadian Forces bases across the country. So,
that's cool. So, Alex, talking about the body cams, what are the pros and cons of this body cam on for an officer?
So it's funny. Body cameras was a huge push by a lot of we're not going to call them special interest groups, by a lot of interest groups, period. There's a lot of push from them to say, you know what, this is what we want. We want some accountability in here, right? And they felt that was going to happen by putting these body cameras on police officers. And you know what? There is definitely an amount of accountability that comes with wearing a camera all the time. Yeah. Your interaction. The problem is, and Bam and I have talked about this before, the problem is that accountability is a two-way street, right?
Right.
Yeah, I got to treat you nice, but you really should try and treat me nice because the camera, all you're doing is hearing me, but you're seeing you. Right?
Yes.
I don't know, man. Like pros and cons. I don't think there is any cons. I know that a lot of groups have come out recently and said, like, it's civil liberties and they're on, how long do they record this for and all that. I'm like, okay, fair point. You know what? Then put a time limit on it.
Yeah.
Right? Put a time limit for how long you can keep that information. But on the day-to-day, you either want police accountability or you don't.
True.
Right? You can't literally have your cake and eat it too. Right? It doesn't work that way. You can't say, well, we want accountable police officers, and we suggested that we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, on the implementation and storage of all of this information on these body cameras. We want you to do that. And then when it happens, you realize this isn't working the way that we expected it to work out. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden, the cops are actually the good people. Oh my goodness! Can you imagine for a second? Right? So I don't know, man. I don't think there is any cost.
I don't think it is either.
I wear one any day of the week.
Yeah.
I would wear one any day of the week because everything I do is above reproach. Go ahead.
Plus, I think it's a great thing because, like I said, I asked you before, if you feel that the police services is getting a bad rap. And this is show, and the people who really complain about it is the ones who's taking advantage of the situation of being an asshole, got bumped up a little bit and then try to turn the tables where they can say, look at me, he did this. You get what I'm saying? Where they didn't show him lunging. You get what I'm saying? So with the camera, at least it shows who's wrong, who's right at the time of the incident. And that's a great thing. That's
and you know what? Even camera footage sometimes, even camera footage, man, is open for interpretation, right? And I say that in the sense that, like, you might just have the wrong angle, right?
Yeah.
We use the example of, like, okay, you're holding a gun, right? But now what am I holding?
No, I can't
see
what
I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Not seeing it. Yeah.
What do I got now?
Yeah.
Right? I didn't have anything.
Yeah.
Right? You don't know it. It depends how that position. It's not 360 with a drone above you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not yet.
They're working on it. They're working on it.
It is coming.
They're working on it. But
no, like I said, I'll wear one any day of the week, man. I got nothing to hide.
I would be doing. I'd agree with that. I would wear one too.
That's just the way it should be. Your quick thoughts on community policing.
I'm a huge advocate of real community policing. I think there is a big difference. When you hear community policing, it's something you read about in the newspaper, and I'll be honest with you, it's often a buzzword that's kind of used by management of police services, right? They're like, our officers are engaged in community policing. It's like, well, okay, it sounds great, but what is it, right? It's actually a lot more than, and so when I talk about community policing, I said we started the interview with who was one of my biggest influences. Well, my uncle, right?
That's right.
So one of my uncles actually literally walked the beat in the 1970s in Mechanicsville when it was not a good place, right?
Okay.
When it was overrun with sex trade workers and drugs and all the things that you typically find in, excuse the terminology, but maybe the seedier parts of town.
Yeah.
So he literally walked the beat. But the benefit that came along with walking the beat? They used to literally go to businesses, check their doors to make sure they're locked. When they're working day shifts, they went in and checked with the owners of the businesses. Hey, how's everything going in here? Do you need anything? Da-da-da-da-da. And you know what? They got to know them on a personal level. So when I talk about community policing, if you can walk into a school and all the kids know you by name, that's community policing. If you can walk into a store and the owner knows you by name because you come in there and and you're social and you're doing your job and you're checking in on them, that's community policing. When you're walking down the street and that and a police officer says hello to you while you're walking on the street, I know that sounds very small, but it doesn't happen a whole hell of a lot, right? Cops now are so reactionary. That is the biggest demise of modern day policing, is that we spend so much of our effort and so much of our time, just by nature of populations, funding, underfunding, all the rest of it. We spend so much of our time being reactionary to calls. A lot of people actually say that the biggest demise in policing was the introduction of the radio car, right? Which is all of a sudden you can stick two guys or even one guy in some cases in a car and let them respond to calls as they come in, as opposed to hiring more police officers that actually walk those neighborhoods and those beats, right?
That's true,
yeah. The car could potentially get there faster. But what did it do? It degraded the public's interaction with police officers.
Right.
I'm going to venture to say that in the 1970s, when the cops, and prior to that, when cops were walking the beat, it would have been very difficult for you to have walked into a business or even talked to your next door neighbor and say, you know, that Alex Lewis, that Constable Alex Lewis or whatever, he's an asshole, right? And the person would have said, and if I was, yeah, you know what, maybe they'll call me that. But it'd be very hard to just arbitrarily throw that out there that, you know, he's crooked, he's this and the other, because that neighbor is going to say, nah, man, I know him. I know him. He's good.
Good people.
Right? I don't know. He stops into the business there all the time. You know, like, no, I know him. Right?
Yeah,
it's really hard.
Yeah.
So when I say cops are easy targets, that's why we're easy targets. We've removed ourselves. We've become, in many cases, the men and women without legs, because we don't. All we do is drive around in our cars and respond to calls.
Yeah.
So community policing is not just a buzzword, and it shouldn't be just a buzzword. It is a cooperation between community and policing, and that cooperation is a million different things, right? It's your interactions, your day-to-day interactions with people. It's making sure that you are constantly remaining, as we've talked about before, remaining above reproach, that I'm not going to do anything that's ever going to draw into question my morality or my ethics in doing my job, or that I'm contravening the oaths in which I took.
Right.
So all very important things towards community policing, you know? And again, there's been a big push recently to try and like take cops out of schools and all this type of stuff. And it's like, that's the biggest mistake you can make, man. Like, you know, like day to day, I'm not saying, I actually think there should be not more cops in schools, but I think that cops should be doing more in the schools, right?
Yeah.
You know, you look at a big part of getting hired as a police officer, particularly in the province of Ontario, is your ability to volunteer and to get involved in things outside of your typical norm. So they want you out there, you know, Boys and Girls Club, go play basketball, go coach a team, go whatever it is, right? Get involved in things that aren't even necessarily directly attributed to policing or directly associated with policing. Right. Get involved in volunteer boards, whatever it is, right? Help organize a charity fundraiser for something. And you know why? Because as long as we are going to continue to be reactionary, those are the only ways that we can have those positive interactions with our community, is by getting involved in those types of organizations.
That's
true.
So true.
That's true.
That's so true, man. I like that.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, man, that's good.
Yeah.
No, I would have never thought about, you're right, about the whole police radio thing. And then, yeah, you're right. Getting that, you're 100%. I remember as a kid, I remember that neighborhood cop. Everyone knew who he was, and he can roll by, and no one was scared of him. He was approachable. Everyone went to him. You know what I mean? And it's true. It's not there anymore. You're 100% right on that. So, Alex,
it's not there anymore. It's not, if it is there, it's not to the same degree. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I love when I'm walking around downtown Ottawa and you see cops in high vis jackets, you know, paired up, walking around prior to COVID, you know, walking through shopping malls and interacting with the public. Yeah. Potentially in a positive, ideally in a positive way. Cops on bicycles. I love that, man. I know it doesn't look the greatest, but it works.
Don't get me.
You know, they staying physically fit.
Hold on a sec. If Jesse's listening to this, he actually got a ticket with his car with a guy on a bike. So I'm sorry, Jesse. I had to tell people that. You know? That's another story. Oh yeah, he kind of put his hand beside him to like, pull over, buddy. Your sticker's expired. You know, it was great though. It was great.
Gotcha.
But I find with community, the way it was done before, there was a trust. You actually got the trust of the people, right? Where it's lost these days. I totally agree with you. Alex, on a funny tip, man, do you ever watch a movie or a TV show about policing that drives you fucking crazy, that they're doing everything so wrong?
All the time, man. You know the worst part about it? The worst part. I got a buddy of mine that works for an unnamed police service.
Right. And
I'll just say this. Somebody brought this guy on, because we film a lot of movies, okay, in the National Capital Region, in Ottawa. Somebody brought this guy on to advise them on how to do things properly. And I watched the movie afterwards, and it still wasn't done right. You know, like Hollywood, man, like like the one that really drives me insane is like they're clearing a house and they got their finger on the trigger. Like that never happened.
See what I knew it. I knew it. We would know because it's funny.
We don't know this. Yep, the slightest jump.
The funny because us DJs, we always notice in movies that the shit's never plugged in. It's never. The guy has no wires. The fucking the speakers are like three. I'm like, well, this doesn't work. But that's the things we notice, right? So I can just imagine you watching these movies.
Oh no, it's horrible. It's horrible. And I forget which SWAT movie it was too. I was watching the movie, and my other half gets so annoyed by it too. And I'm like, that wouldn't happen. That's not real. That didn't happen. There's no way that would ever happen. Have your buddy 6-man, like get his back on.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Could you shut up? We're trying to watch a movie here.
It's so true. I believe it. I totally.
What bothered me the most was it was some SWAT movie, and they all come like burrowing out of the back of one of their armored vehicles, and none of them have magazines in their guns.
See? That's exactly it. Yes.
Now I'll be looking for shit like that.
That's right.
Oh, no, 100%.
That's fucking hilarious. Wow. You know, this next question you already answered, so we're just going to bypass that one. So listen, we got, 10 random questions that we want the people to get to know you better. You know what I mean? Okay. So you down to play that? You down to get with us on that?
Let's do it.
Okay. So listen, if there was an era of policing, which era would you be in?
If you could
prefer,
pick one.
if you prefer to be in.
You know, this is going to sound really weird. I want to be a cop 40 years from now.
From now.
Wow.
From now. I want to be a cop in 40 years from now. Mostly because that means I'm retired. Like I'm real close to retirement. That's what that
means. He's way up there. He sits on his seat. He's telling people what to do. He's retiring soon.
Yeah. No, I want to. Honestly, I know that sounds ridiculous, but like I look back with revelry and like what my uncle was doing in the 1970s. You know what I mean? And I think like, oh, that was real policing, real community policing, and like people's trust of the kids. And I think to myself, what's it going to be like in 40 years from now? I want to know what that's going to be like, right? Crazy. I want to know if the young guns are going to be looking back, or like my nephew is going to be looking back, being like, "Hey, my uncle, I was a cop in the, in the early 2000s, and oh my God, I wish I could go back there and do that,
Right.
So I don't know, man. I'd say if I had to go in the past. Again, 1960s, 1970s, mostly because it's cool cars, man. Like, driving they had like the old 1960s like Plymouth Furies and stuff like that. Those guys had they were driving with one hand and pushing the siren button with another one while they were going.
That's dope, man.
They had cross draw holsters, right? Like they literally they had to pull the gun out.
Yeah.
All it was a button, like a leather flap. Like all they had was a radio and a gun and a billy club and a funky hat and a shirt and tie. You know?
I love it. Alex has a question actually. Is there any new police tech that has come out that you can share with us?
Ooh.
You know what? I not specifically, but I'll say this: pay very close attention. I don't know what the company's changed its name, but it used to be called Taser International. Obviously, I would arguably say that the use of a conductor, we call it a CEW, which is a conductive energy weapon. I would say the use of CEWs is the most prolific advancement in policing technology in modern day era, without question. It is saved. It's called less than lethal force, folks. It's not called non-lethal. But it has saved. I can't even hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands and thousands of lives. The difference is in typical day before that device existed, you were just going to get shot. Yeah. That's ultimately what it came down to.
True.
Right?
Option A. Right. That's it. Yeah.
It was no,
Yeah.
So pay very close attention to this company, because I know even the progression of the Taser device through the years. We've got, it used to be, you got the device and you had to clip a piece on the end of it, and it only fired one prong and all the rest of this. Now we've got devices. You got 2 cartridges, 2 bays side by side. You can get 2 people with them at different times. You can toggle between them if they need to be. You know what I mean? Like, the options are endless, and it's highly, highly, highly scientific. And it hurts a lot. I got tased. It hurts a lot, man.
Damn.
That's
part of the training. Did you lose a bet? How'd you get tased? Tell us.
I didn't want to be the guy to not do it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't be that guy. But at the same time, I also didn't want to be the second guy. You know what I mean? Like,
okay, yeah.
You watch the first one, eh? No, I'm not doing that.
That's true.
Right?
That's facts. Yes, I would never. Yeah, no.
I
changed my mind.
I got pegged with it. It's we call it riding the lightning. That's it's 50,000. Well, hey, man, what are you?
I feel your pain. I got hit with 347 fucking volts. Trust you me, that shit hurts. You know what I mean? All day, numb. My arm, numb.
So it's funny you say that because a taser is 50,000 volts.
Mm-hmm.
It is
I know.
Complete muscular incapacitation. If you get a good spread with somebody on there, like you're game over, buddy.
And
you're hitting the.
Pray you don't have to go to the bathroom because you are going to go. That's all I'm saying.
It's out. My bad. Alex, what's your favorite movie? Do you have a favorite movie of all time?
Man, come on. You can't come at me with stuff like that.
Oh yeah, we got people to know you a little more.
My favorite police movie or my favorite movie?
Your favorite movie
all time.
My favorite movie is actually a police movie. It's a trilogy. And again, for any young people watching, they probably don't have a damn clue what the hell it is. But the Naked Gun movies with Leslie Nielsen. They just hit, like, I love slapstick comedy, man. Like, nothing will get me going more than slapstick. Like, I love stupid comedy. You know, Police Academy. Yes. As a matter of fact, another nickname. I'm not black, but another. In case you guys didn't know, but another nickname.
Well, it's gonna be on Spotify. It's nice that we let them know this, though.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, what filter do you have on here? Police Academy. Another one that I was called all the time was Hightower. Right?
Hightower.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Police Academy movies, good slapstick, but Naked Gun, man. There's one line in the Naked Gun movies. Leslie Nielsen's talking about him having a date with Priscilla Presley or whatever, and he's talking with his boss, and his boss looks at him and he says, or Leslie Nielsen looks at his boss. He's like, yeah, we had a good night, long walk on the beach, and all the rest of that, right? His boss looks down at him. He goes, oh, sex? He goes, no, not right now. We're working.
Those are classic movies, man.
I love it. And not a swear word in the movie either.
True, very true.
That's right. What type of gun you prefer at the range?
So I'm a skeet shooter. I love shotgun.
Oh, yeah.
Over-under shotguns. For those of you that don't know skeet, you got a bunch of stations. You go around, you shoot little clay birds come out, all the rest of it. So
they know. They know. Little John screams, skeet, 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 all over the wall. They know. Trust me, we know.
Fucking guy, man. All right, bro.
It's true.
So tell us, do you have any other hobbies that no one knows? That we know you're a big police officer and you're doing extremely well with it, but do you have any other hobbies?
Yeah, man. In case you can't see, like,
it's serious. That's a nice tattoo, Harley Davidson there. Damn.
I got tattoo Harley Davidson down my forearm. I love motorcycles, man. Particularly Harleys. I've been obsessed with Harleys just as long as I've been obsessed with policing. So I got my entire basement in my house is Harley Davidson. Everything. Dartboard, glasses, stuff I've collected since I was a kid, piggy banks, lamps, you name it, I got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. My next question was motorcycle or cop car, but it's obvious it's motorcycle. But now I'm going to ask you a different question.
Why do you gotta choose, man? Why do you gotta choose?
No, I know it already there. Now the question is, we're tall people. the comfort on a Harley Davidson versus a sports bike.
Man, like I said, well, I'm
difference?
6'6".
Big
You're
difference?
not going to see me riding a Suzuki Gixxer down the road.
Yeah,
I don't look like a fucking a football.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
so no, I like my Harleys. I like being stretched out. I go long, big gas tanks. You go long tours on them.
Yeah.
And they, you know what, man? They are just fast enough, because any faster than that, and I guarantee I lose my license.
That's true.
So,
Okay. All right.
That's true.
Now I have two. I get two. I actually have so I got a real one for you here, Bam. This is going to be good.
All right.
When you say police car or or a motorcycle,
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. I got a police motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
I got a 1970 Harley Davidson police Survey car, which is a 3-wheeler.
Yeah.
They used to use them for the meter maids for like marking tires and writing tickets and stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah.
It's got a 45 cubic inch flathead engine in it, and it probably only does 60 miles. It can do 100 kilometers an hour, and that's it. But it's awesome. And then the other side, I got a Harley Davidson Road Glide that's all decked out, and it's fast.
Nice.
And loud.
Perfect. So name me one thing that's still on your bucket list.
Man, you know what? I'm going to say this. Life is an adventure. And if you don't treat every day, I guess this part's not cliche. Everyone says, live like it's your last day type thing, or you only live once. That's a famous line, right? You only live once. I tell everybody, it's not that you only live once, it's that you only die once, right? You live every single day that you wake up in the morning, you live it. So my life, and Bam, you can probably attest, my life has just been following as things happen, man. I'll say bucket list items. I would love nothing more. I want to do. I've already ridden about 24 states through the U.S. Ridden my motorcycle to 24 states.
Nice.
I want to do all of them. I want to do all of them, and then I want to do them again. And I love, like, Canada's beautiful to ride in. There's no doubt, but there's just something about the States, man. Like, riding through middle of nowhere Kentucky with that dew on the grass in the first thing in the morning, and it's still 25 degrees outside. You know what I mean? Like, just something about it. I've ridden motorcycles in England. I've ridden them in pretty much anywhere. Actually, I can get my hands on it. I'm riding a motorcycle. If there's an opportunity, I'm riding.
All right. Okay. What was your first job ever?
Male stripper. You don't believe that either, do you? No.
Now the people want to know your stage name.
You just add more questions.
Super cop.
All right.
I love it.
No. My first job. I worked at Loblaws for like a grand total of like 2 months. I was a shithead, man. Like, I was just not a good employee. I'll tell you that right now.
Nobody.
I spent all the time. This is before cell phones, right? Like, before all you did is sit around and like chat with your buddies all the time. Meanwhile, you got a lineup of people in the deli, and you're like, I don't give a shit. You know,
It's true.
This is more social hours. I didn't get enough of it at school.
It wasn't. It was one of my first jobs. One of my first jobs. It was at a full serve gas station, and we'd literally make a bet. Like, two guys would be like, "I ain't going," and the other guy would be like, "I ain't going either." And you can see people in their cars are like, "Yo, what the fuck, man?" And I'm like, This is like, fill it up yourself.
I'm just here to take your payment.
I'm not gonna lie to you. If you drive by Walkley and Bank, it ain't there no more. Mr. Gas ain't there no more.
Oh, God,
you remember that?
So I grew up. Yeah, I grew up in the South End, man. I grew up in South Keys. I totally remember that.
Yeah, it's not there no more. Mr. Gas had no service, not full service. That's fucking
no service.
All right, last question, brother. So, what's your favorite type of music? Favorite band, favorite song, favorite type of music?
I don't know, man, can you mash something up for me, buddy? I've always been a big fan of yours, you know?
Right, that's right. That's right. He loves some bamboo band music, you know. But to be honest with you, he likes all the music. You know what I mean? He does. That
I do.
know,
so
you know,
I actually listen. My favorite music still to this day, and it's gonna make me old. I love '80s music, man. I love like 80s powerhouse woman music. Like I like Blondie. I like Joan Jett. I like Whitney Houston. I like I like that, like the power music, right? Yeah, no, that's my favorite stuff. I jam out to that. You know what's funny is you see me driving a cop cruiser down the road, and you know, like everybody's looking in the rearview mirror all the time, like, oh my god, there's a cop there, right?
Yeah.
I'm sitting there doing this, right? Jamming out. I got the music, I got the tunes going, and they're probably looking in the rearview mirror going, oh my god. And then I got the hand motions going, and they go, is he telling me to pull over?
I'm like, he's happy to pull me over. He's having a good time.
Oh, jeez.
Alex,
man.
That's awesome, man. I was really happy to have you on, man. When Bam mentioned, he can get you on here, I was like, man, it's cool. You know what I mean? Like, we'd love to hear other people's opinions and stuff, right? You opened up my eyes on a lot of factors. I loved it, bro. Honestly, I'm happy for you to have taken your time to be with us. I'm happy to answer. We took care of some of the people that were watching questions, and this has been great, man. And hopefully we can get you back on, some other time, and we can discuss some more situations.
It's on like Donkey Kong. I'm there, buddy.
Perfect, my brother.
And Alex, like I said, I keep an eye on all my peoples, and I'm proud of you and proud of everything you accomplished, man. You know what I mean? So you have a good night.
You too, buddy.
Thank you for being on the show.
Nice to see you, buddy.
Pleasure, man. Right. We're going to end the interview with our friend Tora Wilson. She's a friend of the show. We're going to play her music video, America. Alex, thanks for shooting the show with us. Have a good night, guys.
All right.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
I just don't know where I started. Take a stand, whether woman or man, you just can't get what you wanted. I'm beginning to feel an emotion. What the hell happened to all the real explosions? We lost track of where it fell out of whack, and we're losing all our logic. Whoa, what happened to America? I'm giving it all I got. Getting stuck in all this corruption, and I'm about to lose it. If you had a little more love to give, it would free you from such anguish. I'm beginning to feel an emotion. What the hell happened to all the real explosions? Careless act has you falling off track, and this is quite outlandish. Whoa, what happened to America? Whoa. Giving it all I got. Whoa, what happened to America? Whoa, I'm giving it all I got. Bye.